In this video, we're going to talk briefly around differentiation, specifically within Canvas, and different options that you have with the features that are available to differentiate for your students. We're going to use the same format we talked about in the previous discussion, where we think about it through content, process, as well as product. And those are ways that we can support students using differentiation. Now, looking at my learning management system, what options do I have? Well, let's start with content. If I wanted to, I have the option for me to assign certain students different assignments, which means I can differentiate their content. To do so, I'm going to go plus and add a new assignment, and I'm going to call this assignment 1. Now, when I go into assignment 1 and I push edit, I could type in my content here. I could give them access to links. I could have them do different things. But down below, I have a few features where I can assign it to everyone, or I can delete that, and I can assign it to select students or groups of students. I can also assign this assignment to individual classes or all my classes. I could add other features here as well. But first off, just to do differentiation by content, that's one thing I could do. I could have you go to a different news LEA and do read by different readability. I could have you go to different math tasks based on your response scores, etc. But the feature here is that you can assign it to select groups of students or individual students so you can differentiate by their content. The second option is process. So how could you differentiate for process? Well, process is really the idea of how they interact with their materials. It's the idea of, we have this task, we have this assignment, what can I do as a student? So maybe some students have a text response where they are reading text on the screen. Maybe other students have a screen reader turned on that's available. Once again, you can assign it to specific students. We could also change the process of when the due date is. So you can give select students a different amount of time availability. You could make it a group assignment for some students. You could have peer review. So the processes are changed based on the features that are available. You'll notice accessibility here. We could also check that. The third way that you can differentiate using Canvas is the product. And now, product means how can they submit? What can they turn in? You'll notice here, I have the option of submission type. If I was to change this to an online submission type, I could give the options for my students to turn up a variety of things. So they could turn in text, they could turn in a website, which means they could work elsewhere. They can turn in media, which opens up the recorder, and they could also upload files. So when they're turning in their product, they could turn in a video, or some students could turn in audio, or some students could turn in a typed essay. It's really up to you. Now, these are just some examples of how to differentiate using Canvas. You may also do differentiation within the discussion post. So if I was to do a discussion post and I wanted to differentiate, you could have this be a group discussion and you could have different groups talk about different things. So same prompt, but give them the different options to talk. So that's another way to do this. Now, the rest of this discussion, we want to hear from you how you have differentiated using Canvas or other differentiation tools that you've used for your students that work. So in the discussion, read the prompts and share your ideas. We just did a sample. There are a number of best practices for differentiation through content, process, and product. What are you doing? We want to hear.